Have you got some techniques that you can advise people on? We talked about, what you said originally there, but some practical steps they can take to improve their communication skills.
I mean, good communication always starts with listening. And many practitioners come to me saying, how do you explain this? How do you say this? Or how do you get the patient to get this into their head? And I always tell them, if you haven't done a good enough job listening, that's not going to work, because if you haven't listened to them, they're not going to listen to you. One of the things I love most for listening is what's called reflective listening, which is a skill that comes from motivational interviewing and originally counseling, where the patient will say something and you reflect it back to them. So they're telling you about this back pain they've had for some time. It's been getting worse lately. It's really sharp, and they're getting worried that it's going to affect their ability to play sport. And you reflect back something that you said. So I might say to them, okay, you're really worried about this impact on your sport. And the key thing with a reflection is that it's not a question, because you can do that once or twice, like, oh, you're worried about sport? But with reflective listening, you can use this regularly throughout the conversation. It shows them that you're listening. It encourages some momentum. You can be skillful in what you choose to reflect. If you want to know more about the sport, you might reflect that. If you want to know more about the onset, you might go, so it started when you woke up 3 weeks ago, just out of the blue, even if they said some other things. But if you make it a question after question after question, they can start to seem a bit challenging. Imagine if, like, for those of you who've got parents, if you have a teenager and they come down one day and say, I cleaned my room. If you went to them, you cleaned your room, like, that's a statement. That's good. But if you went, you cleaned your room, it's gonna imply a little bit of disbelief. And sometimes that can happen without us meaning to. If we just keep questioning them, it might sound like we're a bit skeptical. So using it and having basically your voice go down at the end. If the voice goes up, that's where it implies a question. And just sprinkling those throughout conversation. If you haven't done this before, just try it once or twice if there's a natural lull, rather than firing the next clinical question. Just try reflecting something that they've said. And you'll see usually what will happen is that will then encourage them to say more on that topic, and you'll get some more useful information. That's probably, if I was going to think of all the communication skills I've learned over time, that would probably be my favorite.